What's going on, guys? It's Taylor from Keystone Hobbies. I'm here with Ray, and he's going to start a deck tech with this cool four-color combo that he's been playing lately. Did pretty well in a recent tournament, didn't you, Ray?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, by the way.
Yeah.
So, I've been playing Vivien Pod for all of a week now, and it is super fun. Um, let's start by going over the combo. So the
Yeah, go
combo
ahead.
is. I lost
You have your combo right here.
the idea is to put Planebound Accomplice into play, activate it, putting Vivien on the hunt into play, and then from there, upticking Vivien, sacrificing Planebound Accomplice, for a Felidar Guardian. Once Felidar Guardian enters, we're going to blink the Vivien. Reset, send the Felidar to the graveyard, and grab a Karmic Guide.
Same pile.
The Karmic Guide will then enter, grabbing a Felidar Guardian from the graveyard. Then the Felidar Guardian blinks Vivien on the hunt. Sacking the Felidar into a Kiki-Jiki. The Kiki-Jiki then copies the Karmic Guide, bringing back a Felidar Guardian. And then you make lots of cats.
Yeah, it kind of is just a new version of Birthing Pod. It's a new Birthing Pod for Modern. Too good, but six mana Planeswalker that you can just jam in on turn four seems pretty good. So, what else do you have to like interaction? Do you have accelerants? What do you have going on to make this deck actually work in Modern?
So let's start with the creature base. The creature base starts with 4 Arbor Elves. We are a green base deck, so you use those to ramp up, and it gives you the option to do a turn 2 kill.
So you use Arbor Elf and I'd imagine Utopia Sprawl for like
Yes.
four mana.
Yep.
Just always name. I guess it depends on what your lands are. You could name red with your
Really
Utopia
depends
Sprawl.
on what planeswalkers are in your hand.
Ooh. So you have like more than just Vivien to win here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a pretty solid beatdown plan. Um, we'll get into that here shortly. So next up is 4 Planebound Accomplices, which we've been over. Um, and then, still in the 3 spot, we have 4 more Renegade Ralliers.
Very very nice touch. I like that they're bringing Renegade back. They tried that like back when it came out.
Yeah, I think Renegade is the silent sleeper in the deck. I think it is probably the best card in the deck.
Yeah, it's just like one of those ones that unexpectedly good, right?
Yeah, it's such a huge value play. Last in our 3 drop spot, we have 1 Imperial Recruiter, and that just finds any combo piece that I need to
Yeah,
get the
any of the
kill.
combo that you need in your hand, anyways. Like a lot of the stuff you still need in your deck for the Vivien to work, but
Yep. In the 4 drops, we have 4 Felidar Guardians for the combo, of course, and it's really good value card.
mm-hmm.
You can reset your Oath of Nissas, and blinking Teferi, drawing cards is always good.
Yeah, and you can always blink your lands to like get maybe one more spell in there too. A lot of utility with Felidar Guardian.
And then, what is any Yorion deck without Omnath?
Oh yeah,
Gotta love the Omnath. It does everything you want it to, and then some.
yep. Absolutely.
Uh,
The menace in Modern, just all over the place.
oh, would it be great if it had Menace?
Oh,
It'd be
give it
so good.
menace. One more land drop gives it menace. Anything else?
We're moving to our 5 drop slots.
Okay.
We have 2 Kiki-Jikis for combo purposes.
And you run two instead of some running
Yep.
one, right?
It gives you the ability to say you want to see me do it again,
Okay, fair enough.
and 1 Karmic Guide to help get the loop going. And for the control, we have all the Solitudes you could want.
Yeah. A very good sword to plowshares imitation in Modern. Closest we're gonna get.
Yeah. Yep.
And imagine blinking it with Felidar Guardian. That can come up if it ever happens.
Yep. It's pretty good card.
So, what else do you have for like support, like for getting to the combo maybe before?
Yeah. So getting to the combo, we I run I run 8 1-drop enchantments. I run 4 Oath of Nissas.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you card selection because you need it in the 80 card deck.
And it helps fix your mana every now and then.
Yep, makes my planeswalkers easier to cast. And I run 4 Utopia Sprawl, so we had talked about earlier.
Yeah. To match up with the Arbor Elf.
Gives you that turn too,
yeah.
which is pretty fun.
Absolutely.
Now for the planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Of course, we have 4 Viviens, because what's a pod deck without the pod? We have 4 Wrenn and Sixes for,
just versatile.
Card fixing.
Yeah.
Make sure you always have the lands.
You can always ping a creature that's out there.
Yep.
Ragavan that's out there all the time.
Yep. We then have 4 Teferis. The Teferis, don't mess with my combo and let you draw cards.
Yeah. Shuts down other combos, gets troublesome permanents out of the way.
We have 2 Saheeli Rais. The Saheelis allow you to just play a Felidar Guardian and win the game. It's probably the weakest Planeswalker in the 80, but when it kills, it kills.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least is Tamiyo, the Compleated Sage.
Yeah, you're gonna have to explain this one to anyone that's watching because this is not seen in most decks.
So this was suggested to me by a friend of mine, Alec, and it's been amazing. It's my favorite one of in the deck. So basically, what it does is it allows you to pay -X and return a non-land permanent from the graveyard to play. You exile it from the graveyard, and a copy comes in, which means it can target your planeswalkers, your creatures, anything you need to get the combo off.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's one of those you want to see me do it again cards. And
at either 4 or 5 mana, depending on how much loyalty you need. Like
Yep.
If you need one of your 5 drops, you're gonna pay the full money. But if you only need like one of your 3 drop planeswalkers, you're just gonna jam it for 4.
Yeah, late game it is by far my favorite planeswalker to see because you just have the utility of the graveyard.
Does any of the other modes come up at all?
I couldn't even tell you what the text on this are.
It's here for one reason. I couldn't tell you what the other things on Vivien are either. But...
Yeah, I was playing the Phyrexian one earlier in the week, and I only knew what the -X did, so we switched to this art.
Yeah.
So next, I guess we'll go over the lands.
Yeah.
This is a pretty fetch-intensive deck.
To go with Wrenn and Six, I mean, you got to, right?
Yeah, I mean, 4-color, you need to have all the fixing you can. So I start my fetches off with 4 Misties. Green's obviously the most important card or color in the deck. Finishing along those lines, I have 2 Windswept Heaths and 3 Wooded Foothills. Just important to find the green mana when you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
I run 3 Flooded Strands and 2 Scalding Tarns.
Yep. Which I'd imagine. Do you think blue is the second most important color at all? I mean, it's mostly green.
It's
white?
definitely red, because the combo for the deck can run completely off of red and red alone. So I love when the opponent says, "Oh, he's on 4-color. Let's blood moon him."
Yeah, I don't care about
that. Right. Fetchable targets. We have 1 American Triome.
Yeah, red, blue, Raugrin, yeah.
And then 1 of the Teamer Triomes.
Yeah. Those are pretty base for any 4-color deck anymore. Just those and a bunch of shocks to match up with them.
Yep. I run 4 basics in the list. I run 2 forest, 1 island, and 1 plains.
No need for a basic mountain.
Nope, not at all.
Round out with your shocks, I'd imagine.
Yep, now we're going to run into the shocks. We run 1 of each of the possible shocks. 1 breeding pool, 1 temple garden, 1 hallowed fountain, 1 sacred foundry, 1 stomping ground, and 1 steam vents.
Yes, and it is, your lands usually play a little more optimal if they are signed, correct?
Yeah, they
Yes.
definitely tap
Okay.
for better, more pure colors of mana
Correct.
when they're signed.
Just want the viewers to know.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
And then do you have any other like utility lands?
There
to go
is
with that?
one utility land in the deck, and that is, of course, Boseiju, because what would be any green deck without Boseiju right now in the format?
It was an instant staple. Everyone theorized about it being good and taking out certain decks, but the card has to be in any deck like this anymore.
Yep, it hasn't come up yet, but I'm sure it will in the future.
Oh yeah, you'll end up getting against that Amulet or Tron player that's trying to win, and you're like, no. I'm gonna take up Wrenn, and I'm gonna never let you make another good land drop. And you can. Did you end up having any other removal?
So the only other removal in the deck would be the 2 prismatic endings.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of a catch-all for anything that might come up.
Yeah, and you don't want to jam too hard on too much interaction that doesn't go with your combo. So only having 2 just for some splash damage, not a bad idea at all. It's pretty nice, and obviously you're running the Sky Noodle. You're going full 80 on these. You just don't have enough room in a 60 card deck for this whole combo. So.
Right. Yeah. Let's jump into the sideboard here and discuss the sideboard.
Starting with Yuri on it.
Absolutely. Where else would we start other than the Sky Noodle itself? Sky Noodle. What makes the deck function. I then have 3 Veil of Summers, for your Jund, your mid-range matchups, control, more stuff just to leave my things alone.
Yeah, you're going to have a hard time against discard and maybe a couple counter spells if they always hit your key things. Yep. So Veil of Summers, so versatile.
And then we have 2 Flusterstorms for the Storm matchup, because it's pretty prevalent in my area.
Yeah. Helps with against Cascade as well.
Yeah, definitely.
For more prevalent decks anyways. Yeah.
Yep. After that, we have 3 Ashioks for your graveyard-based strategies, and Titan. It's there to slow them down and give me time to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
More graveyard hate. I have 2 Endurances.
Which is also good against other things as well.
Sometimes a free 3/4 with flash is pretty good.
Yeah.
The affinity matchup, the more aggro matchups are a little difficult, so I have 2 sideboard cards specifically for affinity, and those would be Ancient Grudges, and of course they do operate better because they are signed.
Yeah, absolutely. They also can come in against Hammer Time as well, which can probably be just as bad of a matchup.
Yeah, Hammer Time's pretty rough. 2 more sideboard cards. These are my fun ofs. I'm not sure if they truly belong here, but Ugin the Spirit Dragon is really good. I enjoy it a lot, and being able to wipe the board and then blink with a Felidar afterwards is pretty backbreaking.
So before you get on to your last card, real quick, 8 mana, I believe.
Yeah.
When are you bringing this in? Since you're explaining yourself.
I use it a lot when playing in the aggro matchups because I can get to 8 mana, hopefully before I'm dead. But if not, I can always use Planebound Accomplice and flash it in. It's pretty backbreaking when you wipe the board and then reset your Ugin with a Felidar.
Yeah.
And that's a 5 mana play, so that's a lot more obtainable than.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And then last is Titan of Industry, and Titan of Industry is just a fun card. It will block a Murktide region. It also is my utility creature to kill enchantments and artifacts, and sometimes a 7/7 with a Rhino is pretty fun.
You come down with a Rhino, maybe a shield counter, or gain some life against an aggro matchup even. Maybe more of a mid-range. You don't want to...
Yeah, I would definitely bring this in against, I would say Jund, because it will go toe-to-toe with a Tarmogoyf. It blocks Murktide if you need. It's just there to buy you turns, and sometimes it's a pretty decent clock. I mean, it's a 3-turn clock.
Yeah, it's definitely a big boy. You're getting all these new Capenna cards in here. They're really pushing this deck out. Vivien was the star, and now even Titan Industry. it's very versatile. Like I downplayed it when I saw it. I'm like, it's
Yeah,
so much, but it does do a lot for.
I definitely thought it was a little
What it can.
gimmicky when I saw it. But it's the biggest creature for the slot that it fills. The utility on it makes it more playable than, say, the Titans and whatnot.
Yeah. So if you want to lay out your deck a little bit and just tell us about like how you've done with it so far. Like you went up to New York for a tournament a week or two ago, right?
Yeah, actually last weekend I went up for a tournament, a 3K in Syracuse.
Yeah. Like how'd your matchups go? Like I believe what you could say is that this deck, if you are playing against 4-color control or 4-color
Okay.
elementals, this deck is going to trounce because that's how it was up there in New York, right?
Yeah, so the meta up in New York is very 4-color heavy. And the best part about playing a deck like this is you are a 4-color deck. You have all the tools, you have all the same cards that they do. It allows you to fight that slow grindy game, and it'll get you into the combo finish. And I have yet to drop a game to, or not a game, but a match to 4-color control, just because of the utility of the planeswalkers, and you are a 4-color deck.
Yeah.
Um,
And then most recently, just tonight, you end up going to just our local F&M and didn't have too much of an issue at all finishing the night, did you?
I did all right. Yeah, tonight was pretty fun. I played against Crashcade, Storm, 8-Rack, and a Bant Stoneblade list.
Yeah.
I ended up winning all the games, and yeah, the deck's pretty resilient. There are a few interactions that are fun. Um, Being able to put in a Teferi on the end step, or in response to a Cascade off of the Planebound Accomplice, is really enjoyable.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about the interaction up there in Syracuse where someone casted one of their Cascade spells, and you're like, yeah, I'll respond to the trigger. And
Yeah,
you just drop Teferi,
and
and
I
they
put a
go,
Teferi
oh.
in, and it stops the Cascade. Well, it doesn't stop the Cascade, but they can't cast
Yeah,
the
they can't
spell.
cast the card.
Um,
Which is basically just a 1-mana counter spell. That's no card disadvantage at all. That's literally just stopping their spell.
yep.
So
And, I mean, it's not always the greatest position to be in to lose a Teferi, but it does allow you to get another turn in. Some other synergies with the deck. Wrenn and Six with Renegade Rallier is really, really good early game.
Oh yeah.
Just to be able to trigger that revolt and put yourself further ahead on lands.
Yeah, I can't imagine someone really like they get rid of your Wrenn and Six. Like you down tick to kill their thing, and they're like, "Well, I'll bolt it," and like, "All right, cool. Next turn, crack a fetch, bring in Renegade Rallier, bring back my Wrenn and Six, and we're back to the races again."
Yep, we're right where you left off. So yeah, that's the deck's super fun. Um, Omnath is the best worst card in the deck. It doesn't really fit with the rest of what the deck's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But Omnath itself is such a powerhouse card that it is needed to just close out some games. It gives you some life against burn.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes you're going to end up having the combo stall out a little bit, and you're going to need some other pressure. People are scared of Omnath. Omnath's going to come in. It's going to make you some mana, gain you some life.
I just hope we don't see a 5-color Omnath in the future.
Oh, he's coming. 5-color Omnath is in the next core set. Be scared. Who knows what that monstrosity is going to be? But you're enjoying the deck. This is something that you've been looking for in Modern for a while. You've been like kind of
yeah. So I've been through a couple decks recently.
Yeah.
I was playing Murktide, played Jund, didn't really have fun with any of them, and back in the day I played Kiki-Jiki, and I saw this list. I mean, not this exact list, but I saw a list similar to this, and I was like, oh man, that's Pod. I like Pod. Pod does good things.
Oh yeah.
And having the sneak attack creature to bring in your planeswalkers it's pretty pretty good.
Yeah, Planebound Accomplice, it was a meme when it came out. Like, yeah, who's ever going to use this? Who wants a one shot with their Planeswalker? It's never going to be anything.
Yeah.
We finally found the deck for it.
Yeah.
Modern Horizons shows up again.
And you can accidentally turn to somebody.
Yeah, the Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl into Planebound Vivien, win. Like, it's easy as
I
that.
mean, it's 6 cards, but I have done it twice now,
Yeah.
and it feels absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So I think this deck definitely has some footing in the format. It's got the 4-color base. It has a combo finish, which makes it good against the top deck, one of the top decks, I should say, in the format. You probably do have a rougher time against something like Murktide.
Yeah, so the Murktide matchup's a little grindier. I can't necessarily just spit out the combo and win the game, but a grindy seat is where I want to be with this deck. I want to go to turn 10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I can't kill you, it means you're not killing me, and
Yep.
that's where I like to be.
Yeah, a tempo strategy is a little bit rougher, just with the disruption and the pressure at the same time. Controls probably it's just a little bit of a battle, just who's going to cast what when. But combo against control it's usually favored to the combo depending on how good the control player is.
Right.
Aggro, you got a lot of big butt creatures with like Omnath and the cat even just to block, and a little bit of interaction with Wrenn and Six and Teferi alone. Like, you can survive long enough just to get your combo off. Like, this deck has a lot going for it.
Yeah, so one of the decks that I've had the most trouble with is the blue-white control.
Have you?
Yeah, actually, if you have a solid blue-white control player,
Mm-hmm.
their land go strategy where they just answer your stuff one at a time, it's hard to get traction. Now, if you can get off the ground with your Utopia Sprawl or an Arbor Elf early and out mana them early in the game, you'll be better off later in the game. But the problem is that the game does go long.
Yeah, because you're gonna try for like a double spell, and it's not gonna be fully gonna get you the win, and you're gonna have to keep going through your
Yeah,
turns.
finding the card advantage against
Yeah.
blue-white control seems to be the hardest part because everything they have says draw a card.
Yeah, and now the options and control for removal is so much more versatile. Like before, they had to like match it up just perfect with Prismatic Ending and March of the Otherworldly Light. They're catching a lot
Yeah,
more.
there's so many catch-alls in that deck,
Yeah,
which I think that deck is very well posed right now with the 4-color.
so
Uh,
easy enough. You would like to recommend this deck to anyone that can one afford a four color base. Like affording Wrenn and Six, which is going to be getting reprinted, is one of the bigger ones. All the fetch lands, the tri lands.
yeah, it's definitely more obtainable now that the Wrenn and Six is being reprinted.
Mm-hmm.
I borrowed some cards for my first tournament playing this, and by the way, thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And yeah, it was just a pretty pricey list. I'm not sure where it's sitting at right now, but it's definitely on the higher end of Magic
Let's
cards.
say it's slightly above average. It ain't the top tippy
Yeah,
top,
I
but
I think it costs more than my Legacy.
your legacy deck, yes. So also you're gonna end up anyone that wants to do creature combo. This is probably your deal. Some people would go to Yawgmoth. It's not the same. It still has the same graveyard issues.
Yeah, you're still weak to the graveyard strategy here, but your beatdown strategy is still viable. I mean, you still have 4/4 Omnath, and usually when the graveyard strategy is stopped, you can always use your Saheelis and your cats to end the game. But there is still a beatdown strategy. Sometimes Solitude just has to swing in there as a 3/2.
Yeah, man, it's flash. Like you can end up putting it at the end step and start beating down, put a little pressure, make them stumble.
Yep.
Uh, is there anything else in here that you're wanting to cut that you want to, maybe you can't, or things that you want to add?
So I could always see adding a second Karmic guide just to have the resilience, because when the Karmic guide's in your hand, you're kind of stopped. Um, I could see adding a second Karmic guide. If that's the case, I would take out the Imperial Recruiter, but the ability to search up your lands is nice. The Prismatic Endings are unfortunately some of the weakest cards in the deck. I've considered putting in 2 Eladamri's Calls instead, being able to tutor up your Solitude or whatever combo piece you need. Um, that is a consideration that I have made. Depending on the meta that you're going into, you could always move the Prismatic Endings to the sideboard and play your calls.
Yeah, if you're not going to see too much aggro, which I think is like the main purpose, just to slow them down.
Yeah, it's to hit the needles off of the Urza sagas. It's to hit the constructs off of Urza Saga. This deck really doesn't like Urza Saga.
Yeah, it does not like the new land, but it's. I'm happy with it. I don't have the combo, but I do have like the 4-color base, and I'm tempted to buy into the combo.
I would 100% recommend this deck to anybody. If it's within your means, I would pick it up and play it. It is a blast to play. I haven't had this much fun playing Magic in a long time.
Yeah. And people are really interested in it. It's just one of those decks that does well. Like you even said that you had people like literally come up to you and just asking for like how your deck list is and what you have and everything like that. Like it's the new hotness. I think it's not here to stay, but it's definitely here to show up.
Yeah, I think once Urion gets the axe, I don't know where this deck's going to go.
Oof.
But
Calling it now.
Yeah,
Mark it down.
that Sky Noodle is not here to stay. I hate to say it, but
I mean, you don't even need the Sky Noodle. You're just gonna play 80 cards.
I mean, I probably honestly with as much fun as I've had with this deck, I may just run 80 cards like a madman.
Yeah. Yorion's not as used as it is in like the 4-color combo decks where like it flickers a bunch of things. This is literally here maybe to pull up, block something, or you can pitch it to Solitude.
I was gonna say it pitches real nice to Solitude.
Yeah,
That's about it. Yeah.
But the deck looks awesome. I'm glad to hear you're having a lot of success with it. Maybe you could get at least another one tournament before anything else, just to.
Yeah, I'm hoping to pick up a couple 2Ks here in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. I'll let you guys know how the deck does.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate having you on. We'll try to put the deck list in the description of the video. Appreciate anyone that listened and watched the video. Comment, like, and subscribe. And check out the podcast. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Hey, thanks for having me.